Brides and grooms, welcome to Weddy Guru's wedding planning classes, where we break down every element of your wedding planning journey. Our goal and our joy, not just in these classes, but here at Weddy Guru, is to simplify every step of your wedding planning journey and therefore free up your time and your energy to focus on building the foundation for your lifelong marriage. And of course, not forgetting, the less stress we can remove because we're getting things right, the more fun we can have as you plan your wedding and on the day of your wedding. My name is Kimari Maina, wedding planner here at Weddy Guru, and in this last class we want to talk about family, how to manage and to engage your family to make sure that you still have a good relationship with them even after your wedding. Their wedding, your marriage. At least that is the statement that has been said a lot of times here in Kenya, and I'd even say possibly in across Africa. And while this statement is largely inaccurate, the truth is your family is just as invested, if not more invested. Matter of fact, we usually say that there are 6 hosts at a wedding: the bride, the groom who invited their friends, and then the bride's parents and the groom's parents who also invited their guests. They too are just as invested in your wedding as you are. Acknowledging this helps you learn how to manage your expectations and helps you learn how to manage their expectations as well. Let's talk about it. In this class, what we're going to do is we're going to highlight the number of things that you do need to discuss with your folks about, and perhaps your siblings, but largely your parents about, so that you are on the same page, noting that you are all hosts, you are all inviting your guests, and therefore you are all to some degree invested in the outcome of this wedding. Before we go there, let's talk about communicating with your family. As we had said, please recognize that your family members are also invested in this wedding. They want to see this wedding a success, but they also realize that if this wedding is not a success, it's going to be an embarrassment on them as well. And this is especially for your parents. So please acknowledge that, because that will help you in communicating with them patiently. Remember what we discussed in class 1, the first class where we discussed your wedding vision, and in the second class where we discussed your wedding budget. It is important for you to have those things in check, and for the two of you as the bride and groom to have aligned on these 2 things, so that you're able to now present these 2 things as a couple together, standing together to defend the things that are most important to you. We talked about the deal breakers. This is the time when you will need to stand together as a couple to defend those things that you hold most dear. Now, for the rest of the things, don't let go. We're not saying let go, but hold them loosely so that you can be able to get the input of your family members in these things. But remember, hold on to those 5 deal breakers, and as best as is possible, reduce the number of deal breakers. They don't have to be 5. We suggested 5 as the maximum limit, but if you can reduce them to 3, you will be giving yourself less stress fighting over other things, in our opinion. So consider that. Please remember that this is a one-day event, and there is a whole relationship that needs to remain positive even after your wedding. So please be careful as you continue to engage, especially with your in-laws. Be careful as you continue to engage with them so that you do not injure the relationship that you are going to be having with them thereafter. I'll give you a tip over here, and even after I give you this tip, we will still say that there is a class where we're going to invite an expert on this matter to help us understand better on how to manage family, not just for the wedding day, but even after the wedding day, to make sure that those relationships remain intact. But here is a tip. Good news should be communicated by the in-law. Bad news should be communicated by the person. Here's what I mean by that. As the groom, if there is bad news to share to your family as the groom, it is you to share that bad news to your family. And if there is good news to share to your family, then let your bride be the one to share the good news to your family. Similarly, as a bride, If there is bad news for you to share to your family, then you're the one who is supposed to share that bad news to your family. But if there's good news to share to your family, then let your groom be the one to share the good news. Either way, make sure that you communicate the news together. Just change the mouthpiece depending on the weight of the news. If it is good, then let your spouse be able to speak to your family, but if it's bad, you be the mouthpiece for that news. That tip helps preserve the relationship even after your wedding. But again, do watch out for the masterclass where we will delve deeper on how to engage your in-laws so that we make sure that a positive relationship remains even after your wedding day. Alright, now here are a list of things that you do need to discuss with your parents about, starting with your wedding budget. Your wedding budget, first and foremost, we usually say make sure that you have a budget that you as a couple can foot. Check out the resource, the tutorial for the resource called the Wedding Budget Calculator, where we delve deeper into this. And also check out the class on wedding budget. That should be the second class. But in essence, in summary, what we're trying to say is, what you are able and willing to spend is 300,000 shillings, then hold on to that number. And that number should be able to tell you how many people you're going to invite. And once you know how many people you're going to invite based on your budget, then split that number amongst the three families. The new family, that is you as a couple, your parents, and your spouse's parents. Split those numbers across. So if that 300,000 can only invite 50 people, split the 50 people across the three. But make sure that as you do so, give your parents a bigger number. And I'll use 50 as an example. So for 50, let's say the groom will take 10, the bride will take 10, the bride's parents will take 15, the groom's parents will take 15. That way it's very clear that you have given your parents more numbers. In this case, have they been given more numbers? Because as a couple you have 20 and your folks have 15 each. That math did not math, but I think you get the principle. The principle here is let your parents feel as if they've gotten more numbers than you have, because by doing so you are giving them honor. And I believe that good parents will see the honor that you are giving them. Thereafter, if there are additional people who need to be invited, these additional people each come with a cost implication, and therefore whenever you're having a discussion with your parents, you'll go like, we are happy to pay the full bill for 15 people, the 15 people that we're inviting. But if your parents say, but no, my friends are 50, you say, no problem, that means you'd like us to invite 35 more people. That's okay. For the 35 people, each of them costs 2,000. So we kindly request that you help us with 70,000 so that we can be able to invite the extra 35 people. It becomes a very straight conversation to have when there is a number attached to each person you are inviting. And therefore your conversations around numbers becomes easier and not emotional. It becomes more logical. We hope that helps, but do check out both the class and the tutorial around budget. We hope that will help. Building the wedding guest list. Now this is the class that we had just before. I think that was the 11th class, which is building your guest list. And again, we're back to numbers. Budget is influenced by numbers, and numbers influences budget. So I wouldn't want to repeat much of what we've already said, both in the previous class and in the previous slide. But yes, work with your parents to discuss and populate the list of people who you are inviting. And again, there is a tool for that. That tool is called the wedding guest list. That tool will help you put together the number of people who you are, not only the number of people you're going to be inviting to your wedding, but the actual people by number who you're going to be inviting to your wedding. The wedding day timeline, let's discuss that. If you want your wedding to start on time, run on time, and end on time, you do need to get the buy-in of your parents to this program. So for example, you do require for the groom's mom and her team to come and sing for the bride. You do require them to come and sing for the bride to congregate at a specific time. in order for them to come and sing for the bride, which means you need their buy-in to congregate at a particular time, which means you need to sell your vision to them so they can be able to actually show up on time. If you do not get the buy-in of your parents, then they cannot get their people, the people who they need involved, to show up on time so that your wedding starts on time. So align with them on schedule, discuss with them the time elements. How much time are we giving each person who is speaking? Because that does affect the wedding day timeline. Have that discussion with them so that you can manage their expectations leading up to the day of the wedding. And then on the day of the wedding, we are not fighting on how many people will speak and how much time is going to be allocated to each person. We're actually already agreed, and now it's just a question of enjoying what has already been agreed. Please do check out the tool for this so that you can get the full width and breadth on how to discuss the wedding day timeline. Part of the discussions around the wedding day timeline includes the wedding program participants who during the wedding will be given a microphone to speak at some point. It could be the person praying for food, the cake matron, the person doing the vote of thanks, the person doing the closing prayer, the people who are going to be speaking on behalf of your parents, for example, the wedding officiant, the person who's going to be officiating the wedding. All these people are people who you do need to discuss with your parents to make sure that you are aligned, so that not only do you agree with them on who is going to speak, but you also get an opportunity to speak to the people who've been selected on what they are going to say and how long they are going to speak when given the microphone. Having these conversations with these program participants well in advance helps you enjoy your wedding day as opposed to speeches running over, which is a challenge that we have here in Kenya, where speeches really do run over. But if you have a conversation with all these people before the wedding day, we usually say the war of speeches on the day of the wedding is won way before the wedding day, but not on the wedding day, by simply having a discussion with these people. And as you're having a discussion with them, with your parents, and then later on with the actual people who will speak, showing them the wedding day timeline does help them understand that if they spend more time speaking, or if they spend more time doing XYZ, at the end of the day, the wedding will not end at 5 o'clock as is desired. The wedding will now end at 6:30 because of their input in the wedding day timeline. So that is definitely something you do need to discuss with your parents about. And again, there is a resource for this. It is called the Wedding Program Participants. So just make sure you download that resource so that you can be able to engage with your parents adequately. We did discuss the wedding calendar in one of our classes when the class about choosing your wedding date. Check out that class and then use the resource we have made available to you to write down your wedding day calendar so that you can agree with your parents. For example, when are the traditional events going to happen? And how far apart can we make them so that we do not feel stretched in terms of time for planning and in terms of budget, putting together the resources required to be able to have these events. In addition, if you want your parents to be part of the rehearsal, agree with them in advance so they can be able to attend the rehearsal. If you want your parents to be part of the vendor's site visit, agree with the parents in advance so that they can be able to plan to be there. Basically, having a calendar written down in advance helps you make sure that you and your parents are aligned and that both of you will be available. If the 6 of you will be available to attend all of the important events. Another item for you to discuss with your parents is the on-the-day venues. And again, this is there's a tool for this where we discussed all the locations that will be used on the day of your wedding. It is a good idea for you to discuss all these locations together with your parents so that you can agree that this is where the bride will be picked up from, this is where the groom will be coming from, this is where the vehicles will be decorated, this is where the mothers will be congregating so that they can be able to move together to sing for the bride. That's for the groom's people. These are where the bride's aunties will congregate so they can receive the groom's aunties, etc. Having these discussions allows them as well to be able to communicate with their friends that this is where they are required and this is the time they're required for each particular location. engage with your parents about these details so they can help you achieve your wedding vision for the day. Lastly, there is the photos that happen immediately after church, where we invite our friends and our family to take photos. For example, your aunties, your uncles, your cousins, of course your immediate family, that's your parents and your siblings, nieces and nephews. And then there are the list of friends, your parents' friends, your spouse's parents' friends. Write down this list again well in advance so that you can give it to the MC, so the MC can be able to call the important people to take photos. Writing this list also in advance helps you determine how much time you're going to set aside for photos after the ceremony is done. Do we need 15 minutes or do we need 30 minutes? Writing down this list will help you answer that question. And then if you realize that the list is so long that it will take 45 minutes for you to take these photos, then you can have a healthy, robust conversation with your parents that then at the end of that conversation, the list can be reduced so that the time spent taking photos is not forever. So do have that conversation and check out the resource for the same. It is called Family and Friends Photo List. And again, scan the QR code to be able to access all these resources that we've made available to you. To close this class, we realize that we are wedding planners. We are not psychologists. And so we want to invite someone who understands the dynamics of managing a family, especially managing in-laws, so that you're able to address potential conflicts even before the conflicts come. So please do check out for that masterclass where we will be inviting a specialist to help us have a discussion around how to have conversations with our in-laws so that at the end of the day, at the end of the wedding day, we have a very healthy and lively relationship with our in-laws. Please do check out for that class. And again, once that class is ready, we will leave it in the description below. Do you have any questions regarding this particular topic? Feel free to leave them in the comment section below. We do periodically check our comments to answer the questions you post there. But as we have said before many times, join the Weddy Guru Wedding WhatsApp community where we answer your personal questions very frequently. Not just about this topic, but about all the topics related to wedding planning. And in the community, you also benefit from seeing the answers to the questions other couples are asking regarding this, regarding wedding planning as a whole. So scan the QR code displayed on the screen and sign up to join the community. The sign up link is also in the video description. Are you looking for a wedding planner who will turn your wedding into an experience? Let's talk. Call or WhatsApp us on 0725 883 553. Whatever your journey may be, it is truly our hope that these classes have helped simplify your wedding planning journey and therefore have and will continue to allow you to focus less on your wedding logistics and more on building the foundation for your lifelong marriage. My name is Kimari Maina, a wedding planner here at Weddy Guru Wedding Planners. It has been an absolute joy taking you through all these classes. The only thing I can say is see you not in the next class, but now in the Weddy Guru Wedding WhatsApp community.